Hello designers, this is Rebecca and I'm going to show you how to set up your 5 digital ads in Illustrator. So we're going to look at the specs here for assignment 2. We're down here in part 4 for the 5 digital ads. It says you're going to lay out one 728 by 90 pixel leaderboard banner, one 160 by 600 pixel wide skyscraper, one 250 by 250 pixel square banner, one 320 by 50 mobile leaderboard, and one 1080 by 1080 pixel Instagram ad. These may be static or animated. Please don't have any sound in them. They need to be, if you're going to make static ads, you must lay them out in Illustrator or InDesign. And if you're going to make animated ads, you can make them in Photoshop, After Effects, Animate, or Premiere Pro. So I'm going to show you how to set up the artboards in Illustrator because I think it's the easiest way to get started, especially and if you're making static ads, but also if you're making the other ads too, you could still lay them out in Illustrator to start. So let's go ahead and get started. In Illustrator, create a new file, and in the print profiles along the top of the new document window, choose Web. We'll go ahead and start with our large Instagram ad. It's 1080 by 1080, and the closest document preset is this large web 920 by 1080. So go ahead and pick that. And what that's going to do by choosing the web profile is set our RGB and our resolution for raster effects to the right amount. And then we can leave everything else the same. We don't need to add additional artboards at this point and hit create. Great. So now this is the wrong size, as we know. So we're going to choose the Artboard tool. That's way down here in the bottom of your toolbar. You can also hit Shift-O to activate that on your keyboard. So this one over here in the Properties panel, we're going to change the width to 1080 and keep the height at 1080. So now we have a nice square ad. For our artboard name, we're going to change this to Instagram, and we'll leave it as number 1. So I do recommend while you're doing this to also make layers for each of your ads. We're going to have all of our ads in one document, just as separate artboards. So for the first one, I'm going to call it Insta, and then I'll put the dimensions there, 1080 by 1080. Great, so let's go ahead and make another artboard. We're just going to click on this little plus button here in the artboard section of the properties panel to make a new artboard. It's going to duplicate the same dimensions that we had before, but obviously we need to change those. So this one is going to be our 728 by 90 leaderboard. So let's make that width 728 up here in the artboard transform section, 728 by 90. And we're going to call this one leaderboard. Then we'll go ahead and add a new layer down here, and we will also call this one leaderboard. It's actually a leaderboard banner, so if you'd like to add the word banner, you may. And I'm going to put it at 728 by 90. All right, great. Let's make a third artboard. The third artboard will be our wide skyscraper at 160 by 600. Let's go ahead and click on that little plus button there in the properties panel. Up here at the top, we're going to say 160 by 600 and 600 for the height. And then we will change this to wide skyscraper. Skyscraper, great. And I'll make a new layer over here. So I think you're getting the idea, right? Getting the hang of it. Wide skyscraper, 160 by 600. And we'll make a fourth one. So click on the plus for add a new artboard. This will be our 250 by 250 square. So I'm just changing the dimensions in the transform section. And I will change the name to square. And you guessed it, add a new layer, calling it square. 250 by 250. I like to just put the dimensions in to keep an eye on like which one is which size. And then we're going to make a fifth one. This is going to be 320 by 50. So we got 320 by 50. And this is our mobile leaderboard. So I'll change the name of my artboard to mobile leaderboard, and then I'll make a new layer. Mobile leaderboard, 320 by 50. Great. So that's the hardest part. But let's go ahead and zoom on out and look at all these artboards. They're all in disarray, aren't they? So let's go ahead and clean that up. I'm going to click back on my artboard tool if it's not already selected and go to Arrange All. So this Arrange All option is pretty cool. You can choose if you want to lay them out going in a grid by row, a grid by column. You can have them all in one long row or one long column. So I'm going to choose layout as a grid by column with 2 rows and then hit OK and just see what it does for me there. So that'll work. That's pretty good. I'm not super stoked on that mobile banner leaderboard being up there. So we can just, still using our Artboard tool, just grab it and pull it down and snap it into place down here. So now they're in order too. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I can also, if you're not crazy about this layout, you can just use your Artboard tool to move them anywhere you'd like. So then for this, the next part is going to be very simple. You're going to open your poster that you created, and you're just going to grab the who, what, when, where, and how much text from those and just place them in here. In the Instagram ad, it's humongous. This is a really gigantic canvas for us to work on. I'm not sure why Instagram needs a 1080 pixel by 1080 pixel ad, but maybe it's just so they can scale it so it'll look large if somebody's looking at it on a computer versus on their phone. But most people look at Insta on their phone. So if you have room, you can also include an illustration. On some of these others, you can include a little illustration, in a corner or something. But for the most part, these are going to be pretty tight with your copy. The trickiest one to lay out, I would say, is this one right here, the wide skyscraper, because it's so narrow width-wise. So your text is you're gonna have to, get tricky with your text there. Try not to hyphenate, if anything. So just get creative and then just make sure that you're sticking to your layers, that you're putting everything in the corresponding layer to the corresponding artboard. And if you're not, just select the stuff and then, grab that little dot that shows up in the layers and plop them onto the correct layer. It's pretty easy to reorganize your stuff based on that. And let me just show you this real fast. So this is what it's going to look like in the end. We've got our large Instagram ad, our large leaderboard, got our wide skyscraper, our square, and our mobile leaderboard. All right, have fun. I can't wait to see what you come up with.